You're looking for a grill that doesn't feel like a project every time you fire it up, something sturdy enough to survive a backyard summer, simple enough that you don't spend half the day fiddling with knobs, and priced so you actually get a good return on what you're putting down. I get that hesitation, especially when you've seen a bunch of glossy ads promising professional-grade performance, but ending up with a unit that's more hassle than help. The biggest mistake people make is buying a biggie-catching grill that looks amazing on the patio, but ends up taking forever to assemble, leaking propane, or simply sitting idle because the extra bells and whistles feel overwhelming. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's walk through the 85-inch, 4-burner propane island from Vesuvio store and see whether it really lives up to the promise of being an all-in-one backyard hub, or if it's just another oversized countertop that looks good but doesn't fit everyday life. First off, the size. An 85-inch cooking surface is about the length of a small kitchen island, and that translates to serious real estate for grilling. If you regularly host larger groups, think family reunions, neighborhood cookouts, or even a weekend brunch with a side of grilled salmon and veggies, you'll appreciate being able to sear steaks on one burner, keep a low heat zone for indirect cooking, and still have room for a side of burgers and a pan of corn. For a couple who mostly grills a couple of burgers a night, the footprint can feel a bit excessive, especially if your patio is already tight on space. The unit sits on a closed hood height that's low enough to step over comfortably, but high enough that you can still see the grill surface, which is a nice compromise for those who want the visual cue of a working grill without having to crane their neck. The first thing most people notice is the stainless steel construction. The Vesuvio uses 304 marine-grade steel, the same alloy you find on high-end boat fittings, so it resists rust even when you leave it out in the elements for months. In real life, that means you can wash it down after a rainstorm and not worry about orange-tinged spots developing on the burners or the frame. The downside is the weight. This isn't a portable grill you can easily roll to a friend's house. You'll need a solid spot on a concrete slab or a sturdy deck that can handle the heft, and you'll want to make sure the propane tank is set up nearby, because the hose length is fixed and you don't want a tripping hazard. Now, the island part is where this unit tries to set itself apart. It comes with a built-in stainless steel sink and a black granite countertop. I've seen a lot of backyard kitchens that bolt a separate sink onto the grill, but having the sink integrated means you can rinse raw chicken, wipe down tools, and mop up spills without trekking back inside. In practice, the sink's depth is enough for a few pounds of meat and a quick rinse, but it's not a replacement for a full kitchen sink if you're planning to do a lot of prep. The granite countertop is a nice touch, cool to the touch, easy to wipe clean, and it adds a bit of visual heft that makes the whole setup feel more like a permanent outdoor kitchen rather than a temporary grill station. One of the biggest conveniences is the built-in wine cooler. It's an outdoor-rated refrigerator that sits right next to the cooking area, so you can keep a bottle of white chilled while the steak sizzles. If you're the type who enjoys pairing wine with your grill, this is a practical perk you'll actually use. The cooler is modest in size, big enough for a couple of bottles and some ice, but not large enough to serve as a full-scale fridge. If you need to store a day's worth of groceries, you'll still need a separate outdoor fridge or bring items inside. Performance-wise, the 4 burners deliver a combined 72,000 BTU, which translates to hot, fast searing when you open the lid. I've tried it on a summer weekend, cranking the burners up for a quick steak sear, and the grill reached a solid 500 F in under 10 minutes. The heat distribution is fairly even across the wide cooking surface, thanks to the stainless steel burners that sit low and spread the flame. That said, because the grill is so large, you'll have to manage zones, manually turn down the outer burners for a lower heat area, keep the middle burners hot for searing. The control knobs are straightforward, not overly digital, which is a plus for people who prefer tactile feedback over a touchscreen that can get glitchy when it's hot outside. Assembly is marketed as effortless, and that holds true if you have a couple of helpers and the right tools. The frame comes pre-drilled, and the burners snap into place with a few bolts. The biggest time sink is connecting the propane hose and ensuring